There's a lot of small things to hate in today's movie, but surprisingly, there's a lot of grand ideas and big things to appreciate. This movie is almost another In the Tall Grass, only with a little more substance behind it. Even if this film has nothing original in its overall themes, I just couldn't stop thinking about it since watching it. And surprisingly, I saw quite a lot of reviews that were just shitting on this movie, saying it was boring, wasn't interesting, it was cliches, full of tropes, just people didn't really seem to like it. It was right in the middle at a 5. Thought maybe I'd stand up for it, because surprisingly, I kinda liked it. This is Gehenna, where death lives. Now we open in Saipan. The year is 1670, and we witness a tribesman cutting a man's face off. Okay, movie, you've got my attention. A doll hanging from his neck is also cut free, something which means little to us at this time, but in time we discover the importance of. They're called WWII dolls. Now this man, whoever he is sealed away inside of a dark cave as punishment for whatever wrong he has done. Now we're next introduced to Paulina, one of the main characters, in a quick little scene that is supposed to let us in on the tragedy that she suffered. Apparently her son, I believe, died in an accidental drowning before we cut to present day with her checking into a hotel in Saipan. So she's there with 2 of her associates, Tyler and Dave, to basically scope the land out, do some aerial surveys because they're real estate developers, and determine whether or not they can make this place into a resort or something, who knows.
Good memory.
Now we meet Alan, a complete douche nozzle, who's the guy who gives them the tour of the place. Along with his sometimes kind of funny and quirky, and then sometimes kind of annoying assistant Pepe.
It's me.
So Tyler, Pauline, Dave, I don't root for them, I don't root against them. They don't really have any charm, and I find myself just not being drawn up or invested in their lives in any meaningful way. I feel like I'm just a passive observer of their lives in most of this movie's beginnings because, I don't know, they don't really give them any real personality. Take Dave, for example. They just use a dumb joke to paint him as gullible and goofy.
What does it say?
I'm America's #1 pervert.
Son of a bitch!
Also, they have each apparently suffered some sort of tragedy in their lives, which I'm not really complaining about. It's just kind of ironic or random as hell or coincidental to me that these 3 ended up working together at the same firm. So all the creepy shit that's going to happen down in this bunker all involves someone who was a part of their lives who's no longer here. I mean, that's a little bit of a stretch at least, right? But I'll let it go. Now, like I said, Alan is an asshole, and he gives them a half-assed tour of the land in a beat-to-hell car that Pepe just rolls up in.
Pepe, what the hell is this?
You don't like it? My cousin gave us good deal.
I kind of like his dumbass the more and more he's on screen.
What is that thing?
Hydrosol atomizer. Very good for the skin. It has aromatic qualities.
Yeah, forget I asked.
He's just perfectly stupid and helpful in his role, but also he fucks with them and like tells them all these weird, creepy stories.
Very strong spirits place the Lottie stones. When trespassers come without permission, they become very angry.
And it's like, you know, you don't want to believe him because you think he's fucking with you, but he also lives here and he knows the place, so you just are like uncomfortable as hell about it. Now, as they explore deeper into the land, ominous signs dot the landscape. There's more of those WWII dolls, which really frighten Pepe.
Pepe!
Now, the rest of the crew aren't feeling any better about this. Pepe's tales of its cursed history as a burial ground frighten them even further.
Sacred ground.
Really?
Now, when the drone comes out to shoot some aerial footage, the group spots some trespassers, which they locate and confront.
Hey! This is private property. Come on, out!
Now, shit gets really crazy here because the elder just won't stop praying, even under threats.
Pepe!
Only boss.
When Pepe forcefully moves him under Alan's orders, he utters some words of wisdom to him.
Depi, Teanosque, Efino.
Now, eventually, he and his helper leave, and now the crew have to worry about the undisclosed World War II bunker running along the property and potentially messing up the structure of further development plans. Now, as Tyler and Pauline head inside to investigate the bunkers further, I found myself getting really curious about where this movie was going. It did a good job evoking some mood and, you know, The ominousness, the sounds, the darkness. I got intrigued.
Better take a look.
Now, before heading inside after them, Dave picks up the Bojubu doll Pepe knocked from the old man's hands and takes it with him. Now, they stand around for a bit and argue about whether or not they should call in an actual exploration crew and just head back to the hotel, but for whatever reason, they decide just to press on and get it over with now. So deeper into the bunker they go, discovering long-lost supplies, maps, rations, weapons, junk, and other secrets of the war, as well as some of its unfortunate victims.
That's a real dead body.
We can all see that, Dave.
So they uncover 3 bodies, 2 of which are leaning against one another as if they died together in their final moments.
Dave, what is it?
Pretty tragic and all, right? But there's something strange about the woman.
She's wearing slacks. Women in the 40s wore skirts.
Maybe her dress got ruined.
Does it really matter?
Alan's line is fucking awesome, and I'll tell you why at the end of this, if I remember.
Thought I hear something.
Now on the edge, and with Pepe hearing something, the exploring continues for a bit until they make their way into a room where they find the source of the noise.
The hell?
I absolutely love the movie at this part. This is everything that I'm looking for when you're gonna have the old gag where something scary's coming at me. This creature looks fucking sick, gangly, twisted, and the way it just staggers over to them. This looks like it's straight out of Evil Dead 2. I just infinitely enjoy this approach so much more than CG. Thank you, movie. Now, whatever the hell this thing is, it seems to have a message for Alan. Alan didn't want to hear it. Look how fucking cool this looks, too! I can't praise the practical effects enough in this. Now, near death, he manages to pass his message along to Alan anyway.
You can't, Alan! You must die.
Now, after he dies and the group are further suspicious of Alan,
How did he know your name?
How the hell should I know?
Maybe he locked him down here years ago.
Don't be ridiculous, Dave.
Pauline tries calling the police.
Hey, who are you?
Take me to the local police department.
Alan tries to get his hands on Dave's footage to erase the evidence of him killing this dude.
I delete that footage!
Get off him, Alan!
And in the screaming chaos that breaks out, some sort of sonic boom erupts, which darkens the room. There's high-pitched screaming. Everything goes black. A little bit cliche, sure. And then it's just dark. Knocked unconscious for a while, when the group come to, questions immediately arise as we enter what I like to call the tall grass.
What the hell was that?
Now, if you've seen that, or if you haven't, check out my review of it.
Who cares?
But this movie has a in the tall grass feel all throughout it.
Old man is gone.
We're basically about to enter the timeline territories. Now, as everyone gains their composure, they start to notice the oddities. All the bodies are now gone, the food rations look new, there's no dust, there's no spider webs, and arguing over whether the natives are pranking them or not, which even most of them find ridiculous. What other explanation do they have? Locked inside, the group have no choice but to find another way out. And Pepe gets a few more moments of comic relief here when he starts praying, which really pisses off Alan.
It's me. I'm praying.
So this is an example of this character not really failing, but not really working, because he does have his place in this movie, and they're setting him up this way on purpose.
Praying can't hurt, yeah?
Well, it's annoying, so knock it off!
Even though it's so obvious why.
I'm sorry, boss.
Now, splitting up, Alan and Pepe go one way, the rest go another way, and Pepe continues to darken the mood with some warnings of his own.
Nobody gets out.
So Alan and Pepe discover this radio, and another comic relief type moment takes place.
Japanese, do you speak Japanese?
Where he assumes that Pepe can just read what's on there, because it's like a subtle racist joke, I guess. But
You made that work. Come on, Pepe.
obviously he can't, so they decide to go back and get Tyler, who can translate the symbols. Now in the meantime, Tyler has found a journal of one of the soldiers, and one of the soldiers has found Dave. Now at gunpoint, he has but one question.
上から
And he got me curious too, because when they answer,
入り口からだけど出られない
The look in this guy's face, the seeming defeat in his eyes at their answer. It's very telling. Questioned if the journal is his or not, it's pretty clear that it is, as he seems utterly ashamed of what they might have read about him. And instead of taking the journal from Tyler's outstretched hands, damn. Now, Alan and Pepe arrived just after the gunshot, even more confused as to who the hell this dude was, but with no real answers. Alan leads Tyler to the radio instead of hanging around. Pepe just kinda hangs around.
Nobody gets out.
Now, the radio was of no help, only delivering a looping message, and Dave begins to hear voices echoing down the corridors. Now, Tyler tries another frequency on the radio when he too hears something strange come through. As usual, Alan's just bitching up a storm.
Just great!
Dave is getting pretty paranoid here, and the group just decides to continue searching for a way out, because what the hell else are they supposed to do? Pepe, who is still lingering around the joint, pulls one of the Bojobu dolls from the dead man's pocket, and while captivated by its mojo, he sees his mother in the corner of the room, who speaks down to him. Now, as the group descend deeper into the bunker along paths that likely were carved long before the war, they find themselves inside one of the ancient burial chambers itself, where Dave explains a bit about the dolls.
These were the first Bojobo dolls, and they held the spirits of an ancient chief and his bride.
Now, this also explains why the dolls come in pairs, and how when the two were separated, the curse was originally formed.
His bride was kept above ground, but the chief was buried down here.
I'm sorry, that's pretty fucking cool! Now, Alan, as usual, starts bitching and moaning, claiming everything Dave says is bullshit, so he just storms off, kind of sad, to the side of the cave, where he begins to hear even more voices calling his name. And then it's creepy, grudgy, bendy woman time. I kind of like this, though, honestly. Now, running for his life, Dave trips in a hole, dislocating his ankle. And too injured to continue, Pauline and Tyler take him back to the bunker, with Alan angrily following them. Now, as Pauline helps Dave into the bed, Tyler and Alan continue to argue in one of the war rooms until Pepe busts in with a knife in his hand, cut up to pieces across his chest, and spouting a bunch of hoodoo voodoo nonsense of his own.
There must always be a witness. She told me.
Now, sparing their lives for now, he leaves them in a fit of laughter, and Dave, now alone in the bunker, continues to see the mystery woman haunting him. I still think it looks cool.
Claire.
So this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. We saw Pauline's story, even if it was in a tiny little 15-20 second scene. We had a little bit of inside knowledge on what she was going through. With Dave, he just doesn't really tell you anything, but he too apparently experienced the death of his sister, and it is likely his fault, the same as Pauline's son's death was her fault. It's coincidental, but passable. Now, Claire starts strangling him, and she takes the Freddy Krueger approach because she's invisible and must be killing him in his dream. This is when he reveals what little info he does about his sister.
There was an accident.
You don't have to tell me.
It just seems pointless. You could have just showed some creepy war guy that we didn't even know, that was not connected to him at all.
Do you think we have to pay for our sins?
This stupid line just makes it so overly dramatic for how little time they spent developing this part of the story.
I hope not.
They didn't explore either of these two characters' backstory or guilt nearly enough for me to give a shit. Now, realizing the only way out is to break the curse, Dave gives Pauline the Bojobu doll that he'd been clinging onto, and she joins Tyler and Alan, who were still arguing, two of which finally accept the impossible.
We're in a different time.
Guess which one doesn't?
This is not an option, okay? Listen to yourselves!
Now, in a fit of rage, he smashes a nearby picture, which causes another of those sonic booms, darkening the room for a minute. And though no one goes unconscious, Tyler and Pauline just seem to vanish, leaving Alan all terrified as fuck for real this time. Alone and frightened, hopefully he's willing to believe the impossible. Alright, maybe he's not alone, but he's definitely terrified. I'd be fucking terrified of that.
You must die.
I love the makeup job on this. It's just gorgeous! Now, issuing another dire warning, he suddenly flashes back to reality, or the current time, or whatever, and storms off in anger, only to get even madder when he discovers that Pepe has destroyed the radio.
You come and face me like a man. Hey, I'm talking to you!
He runs off like a goddamn maniac, just cackling in the dark. Now, Alan starts to think that maybe Pepe has been secretly working against him all this time as a protester of sorts, and follows him down the dark tunnel to the burial chamber. Now, Pepe seems to have vanished, but guess who is down there?
Vault!
And the movie does bog down a little bit here because I guess Pauline hasn't had enough screen time experiencing her own little creepy story, so her son has to appear down there.
Where are you? I'm right here now. Mommy's right here.
And like Bill Denborough, she's too stupid to realize, like, oh, that's not really my son. It's probably a fucking monster that wants to pull my face off. Now, this leads to a moment between her and Tyler where she tells us what happened to her son.
We were at the pier. I was with this guy I was dating, and I got distracted.
Again, I don't know why we spent time on her tragedy and not Dave's, and certainly not any on whatever the hell's about to happen to Tyler. Either way, Alan comes in at the wrong moment, mistaking Tyler's comforting touches as sexual advances, and has some filthy words of his own.
She moaned like a whore when I railed her.
Now, Tyler about loses his shit, but it seems like this is just whatever the hell is down there fucking with him, because God didn't really say anything. He's just hearing shit.
Tyler!
I didn't say anything.
He didn't say anything.
Now, reading through the soldier's diary, they begin to piece together more of what happened to them and how it might relate to what's happening to them. I praise, like Ralph chooses Lisa. This movie for not pussing out, for actually showing us this. Here we have characters who whip up a diary or a note, pick whatever fucking little plot device you want, and instead of them just standing there and saying, oh, the characters did this, and this is what happened, and this is what happened, like, what the fuck was it? House of the Witch?
Execution whereof yet remains the 10th day of this month of October, by way of drowning pit.
They shot this. They fucking showed you what happened in the bunker, and I'm just so happy. It's such a small triumph.
A soldier named Kato started behaving irrationally.
Really, think about it. They went that extra mile. Thank you.
Kato, now,
apparently, one of their own soldiers began to go mad down here, burying one of the Bojubu dolls in the walls, which the officer pulls out in anger. And they continue to read about this soldier named Kato who was insubordinate as fuck. Somehow, he ends up discovering in the walls of their bunker a passage to Gehenna, the place where the curse started. And once inside, they too discovered some sort of odd, half-alive looking, half-dead, gray, weird-eyed creature man that delivers a cryptic message to them too. Before we can actually find out what he says,
The Battle of Saipan had begun.
Now, luckily, the soldier managed to write down, at least phonetically, what he heard the creature say, and Tyler is able to translate it.
Only one can live.
They dive through more of the diary, finding the soldiers too trapped inside the bunker, and Kato is as crazy as Pepe. Now, the last thing written in the diary is that he's going to make amends with his life, which is exactly what happened when he shot himself. So you see what I'm talking about now with the in the tall grass vibes here?
It seems my life is not amends enough.
Cursed, looped, trapped. I'm not complaining though. I'm cool with this. It's got that Stephen King feel.
How long must I live in this hell, alone?
Only one may live. You must die. Something's happening here. Oh, not this again.
No!
And luckily, it doesn't last very long at all as Claire makes short work of him, the others discovering seconds later. Now, they watch the video and come to the conclusion that Pepe had the knife, so it must be Pepe who did this. Off they go, weapon in hand, to find him or a way out, whichever comes first. Now, the sound of chanting leads them down one of the corridors where Tyler sees his spooky whatever the hell coming at him from the dark, but only in the camera.
Turn off!
It's It's fine, I'm just bored by the repetitiveness of it by this point. Again, we spent this much time on Pauline's, we spent this much time on Dave, so who the fuck is this chick that Tyler is having a fucking vision of? Who? I don't know. Let's wrap this shit up. They keep on exploring. They find a bloated body. Alan finds them. And in a not really unexpected moment, he fucking stabs Tyler. And he aims to do the same to Paulina, deciding to take them out before the place drives them mad and they get to him first.
I'm gonna strike first.
The Cobra Kai technique. Good call. She runs away deeper into the chamber, reads some mumbo-jumbo on the ceiling, and then Pepe busts in, delivering a bunch more exposition about what happened to the dude at the beginning of the movie.
Spanish man come here to enslave our people, so shaman enslave him.
She does manage to get through to him, however, and gets him to take the Bojubu doll from her. Before Pepe can reunite them, Alan fucks everything up. Enraged, he cuts the head off of one of the dolls, and under protection of the spirits, is able to take a few shovels to the face without even flinching. Again, you gotta love the practical effects of this. It's gorgeous. Now, Pauline runs off, and Tyler, who apparently, not surprisingly, isn't dead, comes to, and something about the camera grabs his attention. Now, Alan locates and kills Pepe, no big deal. And he continues hunting Pauline, who has a weapon now she took from the dead soldier, and eventually she has him at gunpoint when Tyler staggers in.
Don't do it.
Now, after shooting Alan, but not killing him, the movie finally drops its pretty decent little twist on us.
Only one can live.
The meaning of this all, only one can live.
I'm so sorry.
You see, the whole time, the creature wasn't trying to threaten him, okay? It was trying to warn him.
Yeah. Just die.
It's trying to save his life. I know how that sounds, but it's crazy, right? One must live. One must always live to carry on the curse. Now, suddenly understanding they are done for, and to avoid being the one left behind, Tyler kills Pauline to save her. I know how that sounds. Before he bleeds out himself, leaving Alan the witness who must live.
You still don't get it. If you live, you lose.
That's pretty goddamn clever if you ask me. I don't care if it's been done before. I thought it was unique. We end with Alan coming to terms with his eternity in this place, and even better, we get a cool little bonus scene at the end that would be from his point of view, because if you didn't figure it out, he's the creature. Alan is the creature that tried to warn him by saying you must die.
Get off me!
And the bodies that they discovered were their own fucking bodies. So again, we come back to that in the tall grass territory.
What are you trying to tell us?
I don't know exactly what it is I like about this movie. I just think that I don't hate a lot about this movie. The acting's stale, but I've watched a lot of movies where the actors weren't that good. The characters weren't that good. This one had such a pretty decent idea. Even if at the end of the day you're like, well, it was just a curse movie. I know, but I'm a sucker. I'm a stickler for those out of the fucking box type ideas where they don't necessarily explain. It's just, oh, this shit's in a time loop. I'm kind of sold already because I'm able to bend my believability, my understanding of the situation, and just accept shit in most cases. This one pulled it off because it didn't waste my time with a lot of stupid CGI. It maybe had one or two jump scares, and they weren't even that bad, honestly. So, as many things as there are in this movie that aren't that great, there's an execution to it that is quite admirable, and it seems like this really was made with love, and I gotta respect that. So, I recommend this movie. I would probably... Would I buy this movie? I don't know if I'd buy this movie, but I'd watch it again. Fuck it. It's worth your time. Give it a go.